New details on the Russia investigation. Special counsel Robert Mueller asking the Justice Department to hand over documents related to President Trump's firing of FBI Director James Comey. The president reportedly wrote a memo listing his grievances with Comey. Mueller is also seeking details on discussions between Attorney General Jeff Sessions and Deputy Attorney General Rod Rosenstein, who laid out the reasons Comey should go, as well as their discussions with the White House. Meantime, Mueller's team planning to interview more senior White House officials in the coming weeks, including Communications Director Hope Hicks and White House counsel Don McGahn. A close aide to senior White House advisor Jared Kushner is also on tap to be interviewed. Can you sort of preview this for us?
Well, look, the President of the United States can fire whoever he wants. If he wanted to fire the FBI director, I think he should have done it January 20th because he would have had support on both sides of the aisle. But he's an at-will employee as the FBI director. How and what the reasons were, it doesn't matter. Under the law, the president can fire whoever he wants, whenever he wants. Not all federal employees, but a direct appointment like that, he can do that. So I don't know what sort of fishing expedition is going on, but there are a lot of us believe that Uranium One is a much bigger deal regarding Russia. And why is the special counsel spending time investigating something the president can already do under the law?
No, I think you're absolutely right. And it's interesting hearing Hillary Clinton this weekend talking so much with Mother Jones and in a radio interview and in Arkansas celebrating the 25th anniversary of her husband's presidential election, something she won't be celebrating in 25 years. Anywho, she's talking about how the Russians' election meddling directly affected the outcome of the vote. It absolutely had to, because there's no other way of explaining why she's not president right now. And if that were the case, then shouldn't someone also be outraged that her foundation was enriched to the tune of $145 million during the time of the Uranium One
concentration? Oh, and by the way, go ahead and buy my book.
Yeah, right.
Right. And that's the reason for being out is she's on book tour. You know, as a financial person, it has always enraged me to see the Clinton Foundation and how much money they took in from so many places. And people will say, well, where's the smoking gun? You know, where is the letter that says the quid pro quo? If you give us the money, that's not what it's about. I mean, you see the money come in. In other cases, you would say it wasn't even appropriate for you to be speaking to these people, much less taking money from them. And that's enough right there. I mean, they just very much enrich themselves to the point of you have to wonder how much money does one family need.
She's such a nasty woman, as we like to say.
And she persisted.
Well, the thing too is when you look at it's so obvious that there was something going on between the sheer numbers, $145 million from Russia alone, and then you look at what happened to the Clinton Foundation as soon as Hillary Clinton lost the election.
Right.
All of the donations from all of these foreign governments started drying up. Well, why is that? Because they knew she was no longer the Secretary of State. She no longer had power there to give them access to the State Department, to make sure some favors were turned around. They were invited to all the best parties to get their connections, to get certain things done on their behalf in the interests of their countries rather than the United States. And they knew when she didn't win the presidency that she no longer had the power to continue doing those favors. So it's just so obvious that there was a quid pro quo there and pay for play. And of course they don't want anyone looking at it because it's very obvious that there were things happening.
Yeah, and having said that, it's not right for anyone.
Right, anyone.
Back to the president and his son, Eric Trump, now calling for his special counsel to investigate that Russia Uranium One deal, which was approved while Hillary Clinton was Secretary of State and allegedly benefited the Clinton Foundation, as we just discussed. Eric Trump telling Maria Bartiromo there's more than enough evidence of something fishy.
Are people really naive enough to believe that somebody gave Hillary Clinton, right, a Secretary of State at the time, $145 million for her foundation for nothing? I mean, do people really believe that? And to me, it's such a travesty that that's not being investigated, because there is something there, and it smells and it looks horrible. And personally, I don't believe that somebody would give $145 million for nothing to Hillary Clinton, to a government official at the time.
Oh, just because it felt so good. So where do we go from here as far as the special counsel or the Department of Justice investigating this further?
or Congress getting all the documents that are necessary to do a proper investigation. So at the same time,
who's withholding those documents?
Well, you got this deep state that just holds back. They just think they can run out the clock because they don't want to be embarrassed. They do everything they can to help protect the Obamas, protect the Clintons. They're going to show you all the documents, don't want to show you all the financial transactions. But Eric Trump is absolutely right. I mean, on the surface, why? Give me one reason why it's in the best interest of the United States to give up any percentage of our uranium, let alone Russians. Then you put on top of that $145 million. I mean, just come on, America.
And there was already an FBI investigation going on into the company at the time that this was allowed to happen. It's so frustrating as an American, though, when you watch all these things go on and we hear about investigations and people make accusations, and I feel like nothing ever comes of anything.
Yeah.
I mean, I wish there was a truly independent body who could get out there and look at these things.
That's a really good point. I mean, we'll see what happens with this Mueller investigation and what that leads to, because there is a natural frustration. It also speaks to what you were saying earlier about Al Franken. You know, the Senate Ethics Committee is where things like this go to die.
Yeah.
So will there ever be any resolution? And if not, how do people learn and not repeat these mistakes?
When government is investigating itself, it usually doesn't end very well. But to your point of the deep state, you don't have to go to the deep state to find obstruction of any of this information. You can go to the State Department. The Trump State Department, under Rex Tillerson, with all of these career State Department officials, have been asked by courts to turn over documents. Judicial Watch is an independent group that has been doing the work that Congress should be doing to get a lot of this information. And they've been suing the State Department to get information on Hillary Clinton's emails, to get information on Uranium One. I think they issued a lawsuit last week on this specific issue. They are going to the judicial system in a roundabout way to try and get to the bottom of these things. But you're right, the accountability never comes. There's never going to be accountability for Hillary Clinton.
And that is the fundamental problem, is that Congress can't get to the judicial branch. They have to go to the executive branch to issue a subpoena or to get a subpoena enforced by the executive branch. There's a conflict there, and that is the rub, where Judicial Watch is much more successful than even when I was the chairman of the Oversight Committee. I could issue a subpoena on the Department of Justice, and the Department of Justice say, nah, we're not going to do that.
Yeah, they still throw their hands up.
Amazing.
No, I mean, I thought it was a really telling, a really interesting interview with Eric Trump, by the way. I think he had a lot to say, a lot of frustrations on the double standard that he thinks exists with his father.
And it's, this deep state protection, to your point, it knows no party. It knows no bounds.
No, absolutely. I mean, that's why you say I wish there was some independent body that could get in there, because I think both sides have enough to get out there and air in the open, and to the American people to feel like, you didn't have lawmakers who were living by a different standard than they were held to themselves.
That's why
the independent bodies will be our robot overlords. We're going to have to wait. Time to let it go? No. President Trump and Hillary Clinton still battling it out more than a year after the election, after she tore into the president over the weekend. What Hillary said is some question whether she's hurting her party more than she's helping. That's next.